Day 61. Numbers 23-25. Then Balaam said to Balak, Build for me 7 altars here, and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams. So Balak did as Balaam had instructed, and Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Stay here by your burnt offering while I am gone, Balaam said to Balak. Perhaps the Lord will meet with me. And whatever he reveals to me, I will tell you. So Balaam went off to a barren height, and God met with him. I have set up 7 altars, Balaam said, and on each altar I have offered a bull and a ram. Then the Lord put a message in Balaam's mouth, saying, Return to Balak and give him this message. So he returned to Balak, who was standing there beside his burnt offering, with all the princes of Moab. And Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, Balak brought me from Aram, the king of Moab from the mountains of the east. Come, he said, put a curse on Jacob for me, come and denounce Israel. How can I curse what God has not cursed? How can I denounce what the Lord has not denounced? For I see them from atop the rocky cliffs, and I watch them from the hills. Behold, a people dwelling apart, not reckoning themselves among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob or number even a fourth of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, let my end be like theirs. Then Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies, and behold, you have only blessed them. But Balaam replied, Should I not speak exactly what the Lord puts in my mouth? Then Balak said to him, Please come with me to another place where you can see them. You will only see the outskirts of their camp, not all of them. And from there, curse them for me. So Balak took him to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, where he built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, Stay here beside your burnt offering while I meet the Lord over there. And the Lord met with Balaam and put a message in his mouth, saying, Return to Balak and speak what I tell you. So he returned to Balak, who was standing there by his burnt offering with the princes of Moab. What did the Lord say? Balak asked. Then Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, Arise, O Balak, and listen, give ear to me, O son of Zippor. God is not a man, that he should lie, or a son of man, that he should change his mind. Does he speak and not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have indeed received a command to bless, he has blessed, and I cannot change it. He considers no disaster for Jacob, he sees no trouble for Israel. The Lord their God is with them, and the shout of the king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt with strength like a wild ox. For there is no spell against Jacob and no divination against Israel. It will now be said of Jacob and Israel, What great things God has done. Behold, the people rise like a lioness, they rouse themselves like a lion, not resting until they devour their prey and drink the blood of the slain. Now Balak said to Balaam, Then neither curse them at all nor bless them at all. But Balaam replied, Did I not tell you that whatever the Lord says, I must do? Please come, said Balak, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God that you curse them for me from there. And Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. Then Balaam said, Build for me 7 altars here, and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams. So Balak did as Balaam had instructed, and he offered a bull and a ram on each altar. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he did not resort to sorcery as on previous occasions, but he turned his face toward the wilderness. When Balaam looked up and saw Israel encamped tribe by tribe, the Spirit of God came upon him, and he lifted up an oracle, saying, This is the prophecy of Balaam son of Beor, the prophecy of a man whose eyes are open, the prophecy of one who hears the words of God. Who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. They spread out like palm groves, like gardens beside a stream, like aloes the Lord has planted, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from his buckets, and his seed will have abundant water. His king will be greater than Agag, and his kingdom will be exalted. God brought him out of Egypt with strength like a wild ox, to devour hostile nations and crush their bones, to pierce them with arrows. He crouches, he lies down like a lion, like a lioness, who dares to rouse him? Blessed are those who bless you and cursed are those who curse you. Then Balak's anger burned against Balaam, and he struck his hands together and said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but behold, you have persisted in blessing them these 3 times. Therefore, Flee at once to your home. I said I would richly reward you, but instead the Lord has denied your reward. Balaam answered Balak, Did I not already tell the messengers you sent me that even if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything of my own accord, good or bad? To go beyond the command of the Lord? I will speak whatever the Lord says. Now I am going back to my people, but come, let me warn you what this people will do to your people in the days to come. Then Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, This is the prophecy of Balaam son of Beor, the prophecy of a man whose eyes are open, the prophecy of one who hears the words of God. Who has knowledge from the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open, I see him, but not now, I behold him, but not near. A star will come forth from Jacob, and a scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab and strike down all the sons of Sheth. Edom will become a possession, as will Seir, his enemy, but Israel will perform with valor. A ruler will come from Jacob and destroy the survivors of the city. Then Balaam saw Amalek and lifted up an oracle, saying, Amalek was first among the nations, but his end is destruction. Next he saw the Kenites and lifted up an oracle, saying, Your dwelling place is secure. And your nest is set in a cliff. Yet Cain will be destroyed when Asshur takes you captive. Once more Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, Ah, who can live unless God has ordained it? Ships will come from the coasts of Cyprus, they will subdue Asshur and Eber, but they too will perish forever. Then Balaam arose and returned to his homeland, and Balak also went on his way. While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with the daughters of Moab, who also invited them to the sacrifices for their gods. And the people ate and bowed down to these gods. So Israel joined in worshipping Baal of Peor, and the anger of the Lord burned against them. Then the Lord said to Moses, Take all the leaders of the people and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that his fierce anger may turn away from Israel. So Moses told the judges of Israel, Each of you must kill all of his men who have joined in worshipping Baal of Peor. Just then an Israelite man brought to his family a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and the whole congregation of Israel while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting. On seeing this, Phinehas son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, got up from the assembly, took a spear in his hand, followed the Israelite into his tent, and drove the spear through both of them through the Israelite and on through the belly of the woman. So the plague against the Israelites was halted, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. Then the Lord said to Moses, Phinehas son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned my wrath away from the Israelites, for he was zealous for my sake among them, so that I did not consume the Israelites in my zeal. Declare, therefore, that I am granting him my covenant of peace. It will be a covenant of permanent priesthood for him and his descendants, because he was zealous for his God and made atonement for the Israelites. The name of the Israelite who was slain with the Midianite woman was Zimri son of Salu, the leader of a Simeonite family. And the name of the slain Midianite woman was Cashbi, the daughter of Zur, a tribal chief of a Midianite family. And the Lord said to Moses, Attack the Midianites and strike them dead. For they assailed you deceitfully when they seduced you in the matter of Peor and their sister Cashbi, the daughter of the Midianite leader, the woman who was killed on the day the plague came because of Peor. Mark 7 verses 14 to 37. Once again Jesus called the crowd to him and said, All of you, listen to me and understand, nothing that enters a man from the outside can defile him, but the things that come out of a man, these are what defile him. After Jesus had left the crowd and gone into the house, his disciples inquired about the parable. Are you still so dull? He asked. Do you not understand? Nothing that enters a man from the outside can defile him, because it does not enter his heart, but it goes into the stomach and then is eliminated. Thus all foods are clean. He continued, What comes out of a man, that is what defiles him. For from within the hearts of men come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, wickedness, deceit, debauchery, envy, slander, arrogance, and foolishness. All these evils come from within, and these are what defile a man. Jesus left that place and went to the region of Tyre. Not wanting anyone to know he was there, he entered a house, but was unable to escape their notice. Instead, a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit soon heard about Jesus, and she came and fell at his feet. Now she was a Greek woman of Syrophoenician origin, and she kept asking Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First let the children have their fill, he said. For it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Yes, Lord, she replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Then Jesus told her, because of this answer, you may go. The demon has left your daughter. And she went home and found her child lying on the bed, and the demon was gone. Then Jesus left the region of Tyre and went through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee and into the region of the Decapolis. Some people brought to him a man who was deaf and hardly able to speak, and they begged Jesus to place his hand on him. So Jesus took him aside privately, away from the crowd, and put his fingers into the man's ears. Then he spit and touched the man's tongue. And looking up to heaven, he sighed deeply and said to him, Ephphatha, which means, be opened. Immediately the man's ears were opened and his tongue was released, and he began to speak plainly. Jesus ordered them not to tell anyone. But the more he ordered them, the more widely they proclaimed it. The people were utterly astonished and said, He has done all things well. He makes even the deaf hear and the mute speak.